I love it
Boom.
when I figure it out.
Love it.
I feel so accomplished. All right. Mike DeLay, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for joining me today to talk
Happy.
about demo production.
Of
So,
course.
all
Love
right,
it.
so tell me who you're with. Tell me your production company.
So we are Real Voice L.A. We do a lot of different things. We have two kind of sides of the business. Number one, we are a full function voiceover studio. We do ADR, dubbing. We work on video games. We do casting, commercials, blah blah blah. We do some audio post, but not a ton of that.
Okay.
The other side is we do actor services. We do a ton of classes, both online and in person, and then we do a lot of demos too. We actually do a lot of demos.
Well, that's why we're here today. So,
Exactly. The
so let's
demos are
jump
actually what
in.
started the whole business.
Oh,
So
okay.
my
Perfect.
my I kind of was drawn to, I kind of started in production and started realizing that I had friends who were actors and started helping them because they were paying astronomical costs for demos. And as somebody who worked in music, I honestly couldn't believe it. Like the prices that some demo producers charge, like you can get a whole like EP for a band, like a 7-song EP done for this minute. It's, can I swear on this thing? It's fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
it is fucking
And
crazy.
I actually take some joy in being a bit of a thorn in the side on social media too. A bit, you'll notice that although, I mean, we do hundreds of demos a year, and we're not in the conversation with the rest of, like, we're not at VO Atlanta, we're not at Sovus, we're not at what, like I'm very vocal.
That's all right. We
Yeah,
want
yeah.
all manner. We like them all. We're inclusive here with VO Booth Besties. So, well, let's jump in. So, our first question that we've asked all the producers, in your experience, what is the role of the demo in 2024? You know, is it just for marketing? We hear the term, it's your calling card. Are we just getting an agent? Is it something we put on our website? Does it have more purpose, less purpose? What do you think?
Good question. I mean, I think it's definitely changed because it used to be like make a demo, get an agent and whatever. But like our conversations with agents have changed so much now. Like most agents are saying, have told us, like their conversations we've had are like, they need those demos to get work that they can get on their own first. So there's that, like there's work has changed. The pandemic really kind of changed that. So you need a demo to get work that's like low hanging fruit so that you can prove that you can do work so that you can get an agent now. That kind of seems a paradigm shift there. However, when you do get into like real, like we cast with demos all the time.
Oh, okay.
It is a tool for casting more and more for the reason of, especially on the lower budget commercial side, it's easier for us to give a client 10 demos than it is to collect 10 auditions. So there's a cost benefit there to clients, especially when we start talking video games. Like we just did a video game where there was 35, I don't know, whatever, 35 characters. There was 4 main characters, and we figured out a budget to where it was like, we'll do auditions for the 4 main characters. Everybody else is going to be demo casting. So again, there's a cost benefit to that on the client side. But those demos were crucial. Like those demos they really were like for the clients. Like we had people, they were like, I love that voice she did, like the 5th character. I'm like, you listened that far? That's nuts.
Well, and I think that's one of the biggest conversation points we're trying to make is not that you don't need a demo.
Yeah.
It's just how is it being used? Because we found the same conversation happening where what maybe a certain part of the industry is telling us versus what agents are telling us versus what casting director, you know, there seems to be a little bit of a shift in the emphasis. So that's good.
100%.
How long have you been making demos? Did you already answer that in your?
No, I started working in my home studio in 2012
Okay.
With Katie Ziner, who was then a booth director at SBV as the director, and we were kind of like co-working together. And then that progressed into, we helped an acting studio from like 2015 to 2017, and then 2017 I opened our own studio, and we sort of progressed from there.
Great.
Yeah.
So what genres of demos do you produce? And before you answer, I also want to add on to it. Do you think it's important for demo producers to kind of niche down, or do you think it's just if you can produce it, go for it?
I've always been, okay, first part.
Yeah.
I have thoughts. First part, we do commercial, which will also dabble in like narration and
Yes.
in tech stuff, like, you know, whether it be medical or corporate narration, e-learning, those types of things. We also will do character type stuff, whether it be animation or interactive or a combined demo. I know a lot of people have thoughts on they should be separated and whatever. We also kind of like to try to be a little bit more equitable and try to like combine them if possible, just because it's a starting point for people. And we also do promo demos as well, although we don't do a ton of them.
Okay.
Now, having said that, as far as do you niche down, like because of the way I came to this, realizing I made a couple of demos for people in the beginning and they were fucking terrible. Like, because I realized really quickly, like, I'm not an actor and I'm not a director, and I had a lot to learn in that category.
Okay.
My audio wise, production wise, they stood out with everybody you can name. Those early demos still because I'd been producing music, I'd been composing for network TV, I'd been doing all of that stuff. I'd worked in post houses. That's fine. Like all that stuff was fine. Like that was fine. But the acting side was really, really a big thing to me. So I realized early on that some collaboration was really good. So I've sort of adopted this. If you don't book in those categories as a talent or as a director or as a producer, we don't work on the demo with you. So meaning I always work with a director who works in those categories, who has worked or, you know, helped produce, either produce stuff. So we have I think there's like 4 or 5 main directors that sort of niche down into their things. One guy does a lot of commercials and a lot of video game, but he's never booked an animation. So we can't really, it's not really, how can we say he knows what the hell's going on in animation? He's never booked one. So, and then very, very similar. So we work with, if we do a promo, we have 2 different promo people that we work with that are network promo guys. And they help coach and write, and we sort of, I'm there to keep the glue together and sort of make sure everything stays the same inside of our process, if that makes sense.
No, it does. That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a criteria? You touched on this, but let's see if we can go a little deeper. Do you have a criteria that talent have to meet before you'll agree to produce their demo? Do you do a studio evaluation? You've already mentioned booking in that genre. What kind of criteria?
I mean, we get a lot of people. We definitely seem to be the studio where people are beginner to beginner intermediate. I mean, we definitely seem to be, when we started, my whole goal was to sort of challenge the price structure of classes and demos, and I've stuck to that. When 4-week classes were $700, we're doing them for $400. When demos are $3,200, we're doing them for $14. So like, we've sort of stuck to that, and because of that, we draw a beginner type crowd. So,
but who cares?
Exactly. I mean, that's what demos are for, right? So
who cares?
So but through that, like, I mean, we have clients who signed with everybody from Atlas to SBV to CESD to blah blah blah. So whatever. We try, if you reach out to me about doing a commercial demo or whatever, I have a copy and paste that I send to you that explains the process. In that are questions I pose to you, which are basically meant to pump the brakes.
I got you.
If I don't know you, if you come through a bunch of our classes and I know you're ready, we just kind of move forward. If I don't know who you are, I ask a few questions like, you know, have you been taking classes or private coaching? Which ones? Now, I know some people are very much like, if you haven't been training for a year, blah, blah, blah. We also kind of like, there's some gray area there for sure. Like we don't want to like force people to take classes. But you know, we try to encourage as much as possible. We actually just had a incident where this guy he wanted to do like an anime, like gaming kind of demo, right? Is very little training. And I kind of pushed him into, we have these like $20 workouts that happen every week. So we kind of pushed him into that, kind of see what was going on. It's $20, like just give it a shot. And he was, you know, admittedly, he was no good. He was no good, but he finally kind of reached out to me and he's like, look, man, I got a career. I'm a coder. I love it. I love coding. This is what I do. Like I create apps and I love that. I just want to do some fan dubs for the fun of it and just kind of want to maybe do some like crappy little video games for the, and I was like, you know what? Let's make a demo. Who cares? And he's booked a couple fan dubs from it. It's amazing.
That's
so he's
perfect. What I think is so interesting, and I'm getting us a little off topic, but you are such the person to talk to this about, is I also, what happened to, I kind of call it separation of church and state. Why can't I just come, or why does it feel like I can't just come to you as a freelance voice actor or writer, and you're an audio engineer? Like, why can't I just hire? It feels like there is this wall that's been built that audio engineers are like, I cannot help unless it is absolutely you are trained and you're all the things. It's like, yeah, but you're a freelance. You're a sound engineer, an audio producer. Like, just produce my stuff.
Yeah.
How did we get away from that?
I don't know. There's definitely been a culture of gatekeeping for sure. And I've talked to some people who've gone through some programs with well-known coaches and things. And I almost feel like there's a culture of, if I say you're ready to do a demo, I lose a client, you know, and that fucking sucks. Like, that's not okay. Like, that shouldn't be. I hope you go through a few classes, get a demo, and we never hear from you again. Yeah, until you come back and be like, hey, guess what? We're working together today. I booked a session and they booked your studio. Like, I would love to see that. Like, that's not, the goal isn't to keep clients. The goal is to train people or get good demos out there.
Yep.
We do try to suggest demos, but I try to like see that like hypocrisy in that. And I always like, if I'm like, hey, I think your next step should be classes. Here's what we offer, but I also, in that same copy and paste, there is a link to 7 other places that offer studios and other coaching of, like, you don't like private coaching, check out these people, and they don't work for us. It's not about us taking your money. It's about you getting the training that I think you need, because this isn't step 1. It should probably be step 3 or 4, but also, if you just want to do fan dubs, let's make a demo.
I mean, it's again, we're still professionals. You're doing your job. I'm paying you. Like,
100%.
I don't know. Anyway,
and I will say there has been some, we have had a conversation as a group about some of those like practices being a little more lax in the last couple of years with marginalized communities. So people of color, LGBTQIA community, if you identify with those or you are of some of those, agents need you. So we kind of need to like push some of those people out. So we are kind of like, if you're like, let's go, let's have a conversation about getting you out in the world.
Well, I think that's great. And again, back to, you know, I used the word before we started recording, the inclusivity. I mean, again, you said it time and again, the voiceover industry has changed and we need to support all aspects of it. And I think that's wonderful. So to our listeners and viewers, take note. All right, well, let's keep going. Okay, so you personally don't coach, but you have staff that can support talent should they need it. And you also have resources that you share should they want to find additional coaching, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Do you, I already asked you that. How much do you charge for a demo and what is included?
We do $1,400 for a commercial narration, blah, 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 whatever, or $1,600 for a character interactive animation or a promo demo. The process is pretty much the same. Obviously, it's a little more involved with the character stuff than a commercial stuff, but the process is essentially the same. All of the directors work slightly differently. So there is that's not proper English, but whatever. So they all work slightly different, but the process is essentially the same. Basically, we take a deposit of half up front. There's a consultation with your director where you go over, you know, if it's a commercial demo, we go over, you know, products, brands, things that you might want to do, voice prints you want to hit, what are your goals, blah, blah, blah. We kind of do that. Then the director writes / gathers copy for you. With a commercial. Sometimes it's a combo of each. We're totally up to collaboration. Sometimes people come in and they're like, I just want to do this Subaru spot. And like, then you should do that Subaru spot.
Make it happen.
Exactly. The only time with commercial stuff, we try to steer people away from made up products. We try to stick to brands that exist. So if you make up Monkey Barrel whiskey and that doesn't, like, I don't know, let's just do Maker's Mark. Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. No, okay. No, and that's one of the questions that we kind of ties into the next question is the custom copy, the curated copy. Do you
Yeah.
include name brands with every single spot? Is that necessary?
We try to, but sometimes it doesn't, the read gets across without naming, especially
Yeah.
when you're talking about like, if it's like a PSA, like Susan G. Coming for the Cure, or what, do we need to say it's St. Jude's Hospital? Do we know that it's an empathetic read about
Right.
cancer? Like, I think we
Okay.
can get with that. And then, I mean, with the character stuff can be a little more, it depends on the director. Sometimes they like to write with you based on like some things, some tropes and some archetypes that you have. Sometimes they like to write and then pose these ideas to you. It just depends. But once the scripts are all nailed down and everybody's happy there, we plan a rehearsal. So you have a 1 hour coaching
Oh,
session
okay.
included. And then there's the recording session, which I'll be there, the coach will be there, and we record with you, which we can do in studio or remotely. Um, if it's a remote session, we'll probably do like a home studio test somewhere along the way too, but that's like a conversation in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then we produce the demo and produce the spots out or whatever. It's not no money. I don't think $1,400 or $1,600 is cheap, but knowing all those steps and all the hours involved, in the production as well, I'm not the only one that touches the demo. I have another our other like head engineer here. He does a first pass. He does the dialogue edit and pulls music for everything and sends it to me. And then I actually go through and pull effects and kind of tighten up the timing and make sure everything makes sense. And then me and the director do notes back and forth, usually to like version 4 or 5 before we deliver. So it is a time-consuming process.
And there's no question, but I also think there is something to be said when you're good, when you're efficient, you've got a good team, it gets streamlined, right? And then suddenly that price and the time wasted, the time, working on it may not be as much as some people think.
Totally.
Yeah. So you've
That's
answered.
where I've always
Go ahead.
been like, I've always wondered because like, I mean, I've done some recon on my own, reaching
You're
out.
like giddy. It's so cute.
It's so stupid because I feel so like wrong, but I've reached out to other demo producers to see what's involved, and
Yeah.
it's shocking how little you get for $3,200, $2,800,
Yeah.
$2,600. It's shocking how little you get. You get an hour in the booth and like whatever, like there's no coaching, there's no whatever. It's like, here's your scripts, let's do it. Also, maybe the engineer is just an engineer and he's going to direct you, but he's never actually worked in a record. Like maybe he did post-production at some point, but I don't know. I find that odd. Like I said at the top of the site, thoughts.
Yeah. Hey, we're here for your thoughts. Well, and again, and it also allows people, this is why we're doing this too, is we want people to get to know you, because in our industry, there kind of seems to be pockets
Totally.
where people get their information from. And it's like, we want you to work out of that pot. Come over here. Come check out this guy and, check out this producer and kind of grow beyond, what you've been inundated with.
Totally.
So you've answered all those questions. In the time you've been producing demos, good or bad, what shifts have you seen as far as maybe standards or, of demo production as a whole?
I mean, on the tech side, things have gotten a little quieter, which is nice.
Okay.
I mean, that's super techy, but things in the early aughts were very, very loud, and now they've kind of calm down a little bit. But I think the biggest thing as far as like trends that we're seeing now is, well, think for a minute there, things got really in the early tens and teens of the 2000s, things got like, if it's 106, there better be a reason for those 6 seconds. That was very much the case. We just delivered a demo for a client at SBV that was 3 minutes and 12 seconds long, and they were like, sounds great.
Wow.
We got noted into that from the agent at SBV. So the length, at least with the character stuff, I think the commercial stuff there's a little more leeway now. It's like, but most of the agents we're talking to they're like 120 is fine. Like 120, don't go over like 130. Like there's not much reason for that.
No.
But this like 1 minute isn't really a thing anymore. At least now it seems like to be the trend, that the character stuff, sky's the limit. We still try to keep it under 2 minutes. Like our aim is like 1:45 with the character stuff. But it's also hard to tell a story with when we do that, we keep it to like 8 characters because some people are like, well, we can get like 12 in there. I'm like, can you and tell a story?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
You know, we're just throwing accents at a wall.
Or you just that's what I was gonna say. You're just throwing in an accent and being like, how are you doing? And then running away.
Your Boston accent is not a character.
Yes.
That's a party trick you do.
Come on. Yeah. Well, I love that, and I love how you articulated that you're right. Like there's been a little bit as if we want some more engagement, authenticity, the conversation. I want to follow the story. And so yeah, if it goes over a little bit, great. And especially for the characters, getting a little more breathing room for those too. That's good to know. Well,
I think with the like casting that's happening from demos, like even like when we do cast, like sometimes we have to reach out to agents and ask for more demos. And it's like you need that meat and potatoes to send to clients who might not cast on a regular basis. They, I don't know. Yeah. So
they don't know what they want. So when they have lots to choose from, that helps.
No idea what they want.
Yeah, I know. But we love them anyway. Well, last question, Mike. Why should talent choose to work with you?
Oh, great question. I mean, obviously cost is one reason. We try to do our best to keep costs down. We understand that like you need classes, you need coaching, you need this. If you're an on-camera person, you're also hustling on-camera stuff, and you've got a self-tape rig, and then you got to buy gear and whatever. So I think, that's one thing. I also think we do our best to actually listen to the talent and work with them. And we do offer a lot more coaching and stuff inside of our packages. But I mean, we're not alone. I definitely I think, I don't know if you've talked to Brittany Cox and her husband, Ryan Ricks at Next Level Demos.
Adding them to the list.
They are amazing. They are in the same price range. I think they do great work as well. If you don't want to come to us, I would suggest checking out them or Sound On Studio. Do you know them?
No.
Kirsten Day and her husband, Steve Buccino. Steve Buccino is actually an Emmy-winning re-recording mixer. Kirsten Day has a long bio list of it.
How many Emmys do you have?
I don't have any Emmys. Totally they do great work, and they're around the same price range. And also Toonhouse. Do you know Toonhouse?
I do. I'm interviewing them. Okay. Yeah.
Toonhouse is amazing. Bill Farmer and his son Austin are both amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Austin. Yes.
So those are the other people I always suggest to look at if you're not going to look at us. But yeah.
Well, you're nice. That was the best sales pitch for everyone else. Anyway, no, I'm kidding.
I just think I just definitely believe that there's options for people, and there should be options. We shouldn't be this like gatekeeping and like trying to, you should take our classes and do our stuff. Like, I don't know, that doesn't benefit. I don't know.
It's all right. We're good. Yeah. We're good. All right. Amazing. I'm going to hit stop now.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. And I know this is going to be great for our viewers and listeners, and hopefully we'll drum up some more business for you.
Thank you.
All right.